Sign of the Beaver, Chapter 21. Then, one morning, a teen returned. Matt had been waiting, watching the forest trail impatiently, unwilling to go far from the cabin lest he miss the boys coming. But when he finally saw a teen approaching, his heart sank. A teen was not alone. His grandfather stalked by his side. Matt sensed that this meant trouble. Perhaps Sockness had come to reproach him. He would surely know that the two boys had been neglecting those lessons. Dreading to face the old man, Matt walked out to meet him, courteously giving the greeting he had learned. Sockness returned his greeting with dignity. He did not smile. His solemn face made Matt's heart sink still lower. Then, startled, Matt turned toward a teen. He did not dare to ask a question, but he saw at once that there was no need to ask. No doubt about it. A teen had found his Matanu. He had changed. He stood straighter, taller. He looked older, and Matt suddenly realized why. The black hair, which had always hung straight down, almost to his shoulders, was shaved away. His scalp, like his grandfather's, was bare, except for a single patch running back from his forehead and braided into a top knot fastened with a red string. Like the fresh bear grease that glistened on his skin, pride glistened all over him. Moreover, he carried a gleaming new rifle. "You've got a gun!" Matt cried, politeness forgotten. "My grandfather traded many beaver skin," a teen answered. Though he had in these last days become a man, he had not learned altogether to hide his feelings. He did not say more. He waited now for his grandfather to speak. The old man's face was grave, but he did not ask about the lessons. "Time of sun gets shorter," he said, "like footsteps of bird. Soon ice on water." "I know it's October," Matt said. "Maybe November." He had not wanted to count his sticks these last weeks. "Indian go north now," Sockness continued. "Hunt moose. All Indians go. A teen not come more to learn white man's signs." Matt could not answer. "White father not come," Sockness went on. Matt spoke quickly. "He ought to be here any day now." Sockness looked at him soberly. "Maybe him not come," he said quietly. Anger flared up in Matt. He could not allow this man to speak the fear he had never dared to admit to himself. "Of course he'll come," he said too loudly. "He might even come today." "Snow comes soon," Sockness persisted. "Not good white boy stay here alone. White boy come with Indians." Matt stared at him. Did he mean go on the hunt with them? The most important hunt of the year? Sockness smiled for the first time. Sockness teach white boy hunt moose like a teen. White boy and a teen be like brother. A sudden joyful hope sprang in Matt's mind. He realized at this moment just how anxious he had been. This was a way out. He did not have to stay here alone through the long winter. Then, as swiftly as it had come, this new hope died away. In spite of his longing, in spite of being afraid, he knew what he had to answer. "Thank you," he said. "I'd like to go on the hunt, but I can't do that. When my father comes, he wouldn't know where I had gone. Leave white man's writing." Matt swallowed hard. "Something might happen to the cabin. He's trusting me to take care of it." "Maybe him not come," Sockness said again, not smiling now. "He'll be here soon," Matt insisted. He was ashamed that his voice broke in the middle of the word. "If he couldn't come, he'd send someone to tell me. He'd find some way. No matter what happened, you don't know my pa." Sockness was silent for some time. "White boy good son," he said at last, "but you better come. Sockness glad for white boy be Niquinus." Matt could only keep shaking his head. The man's words had brought a great lump in his throat. "Thank you," he managed. "You've been very good to me, but I have to stay here." Without a word, Sockness held out his hand. Matt put his own hand into the bony grasp. Then the two Indians turned and went away. Etienne had not even said goodbye. There would be no lesson that morning, no story, no tramping in the forest or fishing. Not this morning or any other morning. Close to panic, Matt wanted to run after them. He wanted to tell them that he had changed his mind, that he would go with them anywhere, rather than stay here alone, with winter coming on. But he set his jaw tight and stood where he was. After a few minutes, he reached for an axe and fell to splitting logs with a fury. He couldn't keep from thinking forever. Thinking, however, was he just being foolish and stubborn? Wasn't going with them the wisest thing he could have done? Wouldn't his father have understood? He remembered hearing that many white men, and white women too, who had been captured by the Indians and had lived many years in the wilderness, did not want to return to the white world when they had a chance, but had chosen instead to live with the Indians. He had never understood that, but now he could see very well how it might happen. He no longer distrusted them. He knew that Etienne and his grandfather would be kind, that even the grandmother would make him welcome, and that they would share with him whatever they had, no matter how little. He had found friendship and a good will in their cabin. He had envied Etienne his free, unhampered life in the forest, and the boisterous camaraderie in the village. If he had been taken captive as a child and raised as an Indian boy, how would he himself have chosen? It wouldn't be the same to make that choice deliberately. He was proud that they wanted him to live with them, but he knew that he could never be really proud, as Etienne was proud of being a hunter. He belonged to his own people. He was bound to his own family, as Etienne was bound to his grandfather. The thought that he might never see his mother again was sharper than hunger or loneliness. This was the land his father had cleared to make a home for them all. It was his own land, too. He could not run away. He was troubled that Etienne had walked away without a word of farewell. Had he been offended? Had he really wanted Matt to go with him? To be a brother? Or was he only obeying his grandfather as he had to do about the lessons? It was so hard to tell what Etienne was thinking. Etienne had become a hunter. He had a gun. He would not have time now to wander through the forest or listen to stories. He would not have to bother any longer with a white boy who would never really be a mighty hunter. But surely Etienne could have held out his hand as his grandfather had done.